And we want to keep you updated on the breaking news situation out of Utah. President Trump is reporting that conservative activist Charlie Kirk has died after being shot at an event at Utah Valley University earlier today.
Part 1. The Spark. The foundation of a revolution is often laid in the quiet, ordinary moments of a life. For Charles James Kirk, growing up in the comfortable suburb of Arlington Heights, Illinois, those moments were spent in the passenger seat of his car, the voice of Rush Limbaugh filling the space. It was there, as a high school junior, that the world began to make a new kind of sense to him. The conservative talk show host's unapologetic clarity, his framing of a world of makers versus takers, of American exceptionalism under threat, resonated with Charlie's own striver's mentality. He was an Eagle Scout, a boy who believed in order, merit, and the power of a confident argument. This burgeoning worldview quickly moved from theory to practice. He volunteered for a local political campaign, but his first true taste of mobilization was a protest he organized right in his own high school, a demonstration against rising lunchroom cookie prices. It was a small, almost whimsical grievance, but for Charlie, it was a fundamental lesson in rallying people around a common cause. The pivotal turn came just after high school. He gave a speech at a local youth government day that caught the attention of a Tea Party activist named Bill Montgomery. Montgomery saw in the 18-year-old Kirk a raw, potent talent. He gave Charlie a piece of advice that would alter the course of his life. Forget college. The world of ideas doesn't need another degree. It needs a general. Charlie, who had been attending a local community college, dropped out after a single semester. Together, he and Montgomery founded Turning Point USA, TPUSA, in 2012. Its mission was audacious: to wage a culture war on the most entrenched liberal battlegrounds in America, college campuses. Part 2. The Arena. Charlie's weapon was his voice, and his stage was a simple folding table topped with a "Prove Me Wrong" sign. He would arrive on a campus, set up his modest operation, and invite the storm. Students, fueled by the progressive ideologies of their professors and peers, would line up to challenge him. They debated everything from climate change and abortion to systemic racism and the Second Amendment. Charlie was in his element. He was never flustered, always quick with a statistic or a rhetorical counterpunch. His style was not designed to coddle or find common ground. It was built to dismantle, to provoke, and to win. In an era of rising social media, clips of these heated exchanges went viral. To millions watching on their phones, he was a brave gladiator, fearlessly speaking truths in the lion's den. To his detractors on the left, and even some on the right, he was a cynical provocateur, simplifying complex issues for applause and clicks. But the strategy worked. TPUSA grew from a scrappy startup into a political juggernaut, with chapters sprouting up across the country and a budget swelling into the tens of millions. Charlie's rise was meteoric. He became a close friend and advisor to Donald Trump Jr., a regular on Fox News, and a trusted voice to President Donald Trump himself. At 22, he was the youngest speaker at the 2016 Republican National Convention. His podcast, The Charlie Kirk Show, launched in 2019, became a cornerstone of the conservative media ecosystem. He had built an empire from a folding table. Part 3. The Target. This very public success came at a cost. His name became a lightning rod for intense hatred. He was doxxed, threatened, and vilified across liberal media. Every campus appearance now required a significant security presence. The Prove Me Wrong Tour, rebranded as the American Comeback Tour, was no longer a simple debating circuit. It was a mobilized political operation, drawing massive, energetic crowds and equally passionate protesters. In the shadows, one young man was watching. Tyler James Robinson, a 22-year-old from out of state, had fallen down a dark rabbit hole of online extremism. Prosecutors would later allege that Robinson had become obsessively enraged by Kirk's commentary, particularly his criticisms of transgender ideology. In Robinson's twisted perception, Kirk was not just a political opponent. He was a propagandist inciting violence against a vulnerable community. He began to meticulously plan, not a protest, but an assassination. Part 4. The shot heard round the world. September 10th, 2025, was a picture-perfect day in Orem, Utah. The air was clear and crisp, and the sun shone brightly on the campus of Utah Valley University. Thousands gathered under a large white tent for the first event of the tour's fall season. Charlie, looking tanned and confident, was in a lively mood, bantering with the crowd. He called on a student named Hunter Kozak. The young man asked a question about a topic that had become a grim staple of American news cycles: mass shootings. Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years? Hunter asked. It was a serious question for a serious issue. Charlie, the seasoned debater, leaned into the microphone. His mind was already framing his counterargument, preparing to dissect the statistics. He wanted to clarify the premise. Counting or not counting gang violence, he replied. The words hung in the air for a fraction of a second. Then a single sharp crack tore through the tent, a sound wholly alien and terrifying in the context of a political speech. Charlie's body jerked violently as a sniper's bullet struck him in the neck. He collapsed onto the stage. A horrified witness, reporter Emma Pitts, would later recount the terrifying sight of so much blood, and then he went limp. Pandemonium erupted. Screams filled the air as the crowd scrambled for cover, unsure if more shots were coming. The scene of Democratic engagement had become a crime scene. Charlie Kirk was rushed to a nearby hospital, but the damage was too severe. The great communicator had been silenced by an act of unimaginable violence. Part 5. The aftermath and the investigation. In the hours and days that followed, a nation already fractured seemed to shatter completely. President Donald Trump announced the death on Truth Social, mourning the great and even legendary Charlie Kirk. The news dominated every media channel, a horrific event that felt both shocking and, in the tense climate of the time, somehow inevitable. Meanwhile, the investigation unfolded with grim efficiency. The shot, officials would later state, was a 1-in-a-million strike. The shooter had fired from the roof of the Utah Valley University Library, a breathtaking 142 yards away from the stage. He used a .30-06 Mauser M98 bolt-action rifle. Security footage captured a figure, a young man in a hoodie, fleeing the rooftop immediately after the shot. The manhunt zeroed in on Tyler James Robinson. Evidence, including his digital footprint, revealed a pattern of fixation on Charlie Kirk and his rhetoric. He was arrested without incident several days later. Prosecutors, in their charging documents, laid out a case of premeditated, politically motivated assassination. They announced they would seek the death penalty. Charlie Kirk was memorialized in a massive service at State Farm Stadium in Arizona, a testament to his stature. His wife, Erica, was named the new CEO of Tfuza. In a raw, emotional live stream to the organization's supporters, she vowed, "The cries of this widow will echo around the world like a battle cry." The story of Charlie Kirk is a quintessentially American saga of ambition, of meteoric rise, of powerful ideas, and the powerful consequences they can unleash. He was a man who believed with every fiber of his being in the power of words, only to have his own life ended by a bullet, a tragic and stark symbol of a country where the war of ideas had, for one terrible moment, become a very real war.